Welcome back to the table, guys. It's Doolin, and I'm here to tell you a couple things that I've learned while moving about board game collecting and trying your best to still be in the hobby while relocating yourself. A few weeks ago, we had started packing and my board game shelf was just looking very ominous. And I was like, I don't know how to even begin doing this. When is a good time to put them away? Am I gonna be able to play any games while we're waiting to move? And I remember my wife actually saying, you know, we can pack away most of these, but I mean, obviously we should still hang on to a few like outside of everything, which gave me a huge crisis because it's like, how in the world do you pick only like 3 or 4 to stay with you while all the rest go into storage? It's kind of like, if you've seen our recent video, Max getting shoved a piece of luggage, sorry buddy, and told fit as many games as you can into this, and this is all you get for a while.
Wait,
you can only grab things.
What?
Ready? Everything's on fire, go.
Oh my god, can I fit too many bones in there?
I don't know.
Holy crap, this
You're gonna have to
is
try.
already. I don't even know where to begin.
Only with me, I remember thinking, you know, we don't want a whole lot of stuff just laying around. And when packing day comes or when moving day comes, the last thing you want to do to the people that you invite over to help you move is to have a bunch of just boxes laying around, especially board games, because let's be honest, I don't necessarily want everyone in the world touching all of them. They don't love them as much as I do. What if they drop them? So I finally thought about it. I thought, when am I going to get a chance to play games? Other than going to Max's, who, you know, obviously his shelf is available. When am I going to get to introduce games to people? When am I going to have people over? What is the best group of games or style of games that I can have for myself on hand? And I've created this list, and if you follow this list, you actually have done a pretty good job of covering yourself, I think, under most circumstances. Now, obviously, this isn't all-encompassing. This is specifically for me, but I hope that it applies to you, and maybe it'll be useful for you next time you move. Who knows? So without any further ado, the first style of game that seems obvious that you might need is a party game. Now, when packing is occurring and when getting all the prep work is happening, you might have some people over that you wouldn't normally have over that are really good friends. And for Emily and I, it was really great family members who aren't necessarily board gamers, but they came over for dinner. They came to help us during the day with the idea of, hey, we're gonna have a game night as well. So as a thank you for you guys coming over, let's play a few games just to, you know, chill and relax after a hard day's work. So what you're looking for here are games that aren't that hard to teach, aren't that hard to set up, and aren't that thinky. So what I've chosen as my one as an example, and the one that I actually have been using, is called A Fake Artist Goes to New York by Oink Games. This one is incredible. It fits in your pocket. Looks like this right here. Literally fits in your pocket. It's in my pocket. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. But this game, one person is a faker who is trying to blend in with everyone else, and everybody else is just drawing this picture one line at a time, taking turns until either the faker knows what everyone is drawing or everyone else knows who the faker is. It's very fun, fast-paced. There's markers, there's paper. Really, in reality, if you had some markers and paper and a good deck of nouns, you'd be able to play this game. But it fits really well. And honestly, I think this is the best way to own it, because just buying a bunch of markers and paper is going to take up more space than this does. If you're not into drawing at all, a healthy alternative that's actually pretty small and very easy to teach is a game called Code Names, and it is also extremely fun, but you've heard us talk about that. That is going to be the one that I display for you guys. Number 2, the style of game that I would recommend is a game that, one's kind of silly, it helps you learn how to pack, and maybe even helps you get in that mindset of I need to get this done in this amount of time and this amount of space. The best way to train your brain for packing is a game that is fast-paced, a game that is about assorting certain things and packing it up in time if you can find one of those. So I picked a dexterity game myself, and you guys have actually seen this on the channel recently. I have had for myself Pandemic Rapid Response. This one's actually even more helpful because it can be played solo. I can play it by myself. This game is extremely light. Like it's not gonna be heavy to pack away, and it's also fairly small. I mean, like it's very thin, and it's a little bit long, but the thinness and the lightness of it is very nice. An honorable mention that I was going to choose, because I think it fits the theme of packing really, really well, but I actually don't own it. Max does, is Tiny Towns. It has a solo variant as well, but if there's I can't think of a better way to simulate the issue of trying to pack as much space as you can into a tiny area. Like that is Tiny Towns, and it's a great pick for this idea specifically, where you're trying to train yourself to be ready for packing. Maybe even if you're the type of person that has to Tetris everything into the back of your car, Tiny Towns is a really, really great way for you to practice doing that.
No, don't worry. This is what all those hours of playing Tetris were for.
Third style of game, and I can't stress this one enough because it actually has happened to us, and we're in a situation where we're having to literally just wait and wait and wait on people on lenders and all of the paperwork that needs to happen. And so you'll get ready, you'll get packed, and all of a sudden, boom, you're just playing this really long waiting game, and you have nothing to do but sit and wait and to think, is this really going to happen? In these scenarios, I can't help but think a game that might last forever would be great to have. And the game that I've decided to choose that fits into a relatively small place is lightweight, is Heroes. I'm just kidding, not Heroescape. No, I was thinking campaign games. And campaign games that specifically are small and are easy to teach, because you still, again, in these scenarios, you're dealing with people that you might not necessarily know like board games a lot. No complicated mechanics, are willing to play a really complicated game with you. So I've chosen 2 different games that I think are actually very lightweight, but also can last a long time, have excellent replayability, have a campaign aspect to them. The first one being a game that came out this year, I believe. Was it this year?
What year is it?
We're just gonna say yes. I think it came out this year. Anyway, this is ScoobyDoo Escape from the Haunted Mansion. Now, this game is a cooperative game. You can play it solo, you can play it with other people, whatever you want to do. This game is extremely fun. I almost it almost reminds me of those old computer games where you could basically just walk your character around and be like, I want to interact with this thing, and then it says, how do you want to interact with it? And then you have to choose from a variety of options, and then it tells you something useful, or it doesn't tell you really anything useful at all, but there is some text that pops up and says, you tried to punch Bush. You look silly to the people around you. That's this game in a nutshell, because you are playing as all of the characters in the Scooby-Doo gang, and they're going around this mansion, and you can move any of them, and you can interact with anything that has that is in the room, essentially, and it will tell you something. It will tell you something silly. You can, and I think the best part about it is that each of them has their own way of interacting with things. You have Velma, who's the researcher. You have Shaggy, who just eats things. You have Scooby, who smells and tries to find clues. And then you have Fred, who investigates. And you have Daphne. Sorry, it's been a while since I've seen Scooby-Doo. I should know these all by heart. I apologize. And she just uses items. Like, she's your typical person who just picks up and does the thing that you need her to do. Very, very cool game. I think that if you're into Scooby-Doo, or if your group is into Scooby-Doo at all, this is going to be right up your alley. If you're not, the theme might miss you a little bit, but it's still extremely fun. It's very tongue-in-cheek, very funny the whole way through, and it's it's gonna last you a while because there are a bunch of different scenarios that you can play through as a group. My other recommendation, I actually have 2 of them here. It's of the same game, but they're variations that I would recommend both if you want to play through this. If you think that Scooby-Doo and the Haunted Mansion might be too difficult, which I would consider it lightweight, but that's neither here nor there. This game is one of the lightest games I've seen. It just requires you to have the ability to read and to roll dice every once in a while and follow instructions on a paper after you do so. And that is the Choose Your Own Adventure games, both of which have, my gosh, so many endings, so many variety of endings. This one especially, I think, is better. So if you're going to choose between the 2, this one is hilarious. The evil Power Master it cracks me up every time we encounter him. But your goal is to find him before he destroys the universe and stop him. And it's a lot like those old books that you used to read if you ever read them. But if you didn't, it's essentially you get to a scenario and it tells you, hey, you found a mountain. Do you want to investigate a cave that you're hearing weird noises from, or climb up on top of it and see what you can find? You run into a cowboy who rides off on his horse the moment he sees you. Do you chase him down, or do you investigate what he might be actually running from, which is maybe behind you? Oh, you find a dinosaur with a laser and it all of a sudden talks to you. Do you try to reason with it, or do you fight it immediately? Or maybe you encountered something that gave you an egg earlier and you investigate the egg and find out that it's a dinosaur egg, so you offer it up as a trade. Like, it's just very, very weird, interesting scenarios that change literally every time you play them. You definitely won't reach every single planet your first time playing, so I highly recommend playing it over and over and over again. Now, these games, if you look them up on BGG, are not ranked that high.
See, nobody cares. Nice hat.
I would not recommend them under most circumstances, unless, one, you have a whole lot of time on your hands and you need a small game to pack around that will give you lots and lots of replayability, or 2, you have friends who love storytelling and they love acting goofy. Maybe they're theater people. If you're a theater person, I think this game is right up your alley because you're gonna have a lot of fun reading the scenarios. You could even divvy up the 4-character cast, which is a robot, this snarky alien, this commander lady, hardened battle veteran, and obviously the leader, like Star Trek commander guy who is, valiant and brave. And all of these characters are funny. All of them have lines. So like if you want to divvy them up, like I just said, and you read your specific lines in character, this game will be so fun to you. I promise you, you will have a good time. Now, I have seen that they are about $25 online. I don't know if they're worth the $25, maybe. I probably would pay around $15. I actually got both of them for $5 each. So I got pretty lucky with mine, so obviously take that for what it's worth. I didn't pay a lot, and I feel like I got a lot out of it. So that is your campaign style games for when things are just going really, really slow while you're trying to move and everything else is packed away, and you need something just in case things start to go slow and you need something to take up a lot of your time. The next one's going to sound even more ridiculous because I don't know if I'll ever actually be in this situation, but let's say you are on moving day and you need a game because you have like maybe 5 to 10 minutes before the moving truck gets back to you, or before somebody gives you a phone call to tell you where you're supposed to put something, or maybe you're just waiting on every person to get there to help you because you don't want to start early because you know that one person is specifically trying to show up late so they can get out of helping you move. So you're going to all wait for a little bit. This is a game that takes no time to set up. In fact, it takes about 20 seconds to set up, and you'll be playing it almost immediately. This game is called Please Fix the Teleporter. we have harped on this game so much on Tablenauts, and I know that you're probably really annoyed with us by now. And yes, there might be some love for it because it was one of the first games we ever got to cover that somebody had sent us to do that, and it was really, really cool to even be considered for something like that. However, this is a fast-paced, fun dexterity game that you can have unpacked out of the box and played within 2 to 3 minutes. And maybe that's all you wanted. Maybe you wanted a fun, quick game that you can play either by yourself or against 1 to 3 other people, and boom, you're done and you need to pack it back away. And it's that simple. It's such a fast-paced, easy-to-play game right out of the box. Perfect for that specific scenario. And then the last one is if you're, my goodness, the last style of game you might need, you just want to get the next tough game to learn off the shelf. And so you just pull out the instructions and keep it. And what I've done that for is a game called Fortune and Glory. I've done that for a game called Sorcerer by White Hat Wizard Games. I probably just butchered that, but I think that I got it right. And I also did that for a game called Die of the Dead. All 3 of which will hopefully be on our channel very soon, but we had to learn them first, so I've just been grabbing instruction booklets because I want to be able to play them as soon as I move in. So we'll see how long that's going to take. I really hope to get moved into my house sooner rather than later. If you haven't been able to figure out, this is a temporary space that I'm using just to film. This will not be what my studio in my house looks like, but I am looking forward to revealing that to you guys, hopefully extremely soon. Other than that, I hope you guys are doing all right. Stay safe and also have fun.